1924, we discovered that we could read brainwaves. 100 years later, we are still attaching wires to our head with conductive goo. A century of innovation, and we are still stuck with jellied electrodes. Now, everyone's favorite billionaire, Elon Musk, has a solution. Drill a hole into your skull, thread wires through your brain tissue, and become a cyborg. It's bold, it's brave, but it's not for everyone. See, Musk is trying to build a solution for 1 million people. Ones who are willing to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars, are willing to risk brain surgery, and are willing to put their brains in the hands of a single company. But I believe in a different future. I believe in a future for 1 billion people, right? See, the brain doesn't need an implant. It needs an interface. We don't need surgery. We need an infrastructure. And today I'm going to show you what happens when we start acting like it's the 21st century, and instead of trying to invade the brain, we start trying to listen to it. So we have had EEG for nearly a century. It's non-invasive, it's scientifically proven, and it's real time. So why isn't it everywhere, right? Brain-computer interfaces should be everywhere. Because EEG is messy. You blink your eyes, noise. You open your mouth, more noise. Imagine your brain is a huge cricket stadium, and every neuron is a spectator in that stadium. Now you want to listen to all those spectators, all those neurons talking about what's happening, right? So you put up microphones all around the stadium. But those microphones aren't just gonna hear those spectators. Those microphones will also hear the cars parked in the parking lot. They're also gonna hear the construction work happening nearby, and much, much more. And that's the issue. It's incomprehensible. It's just lines. We essentially need a lot of algorithms, a lot of data, and a lot of compute to make sense out of it. The EEG devices that you can buy online nowadays can barely hear the screams your neurons are making. And the ones which can actually hear them properly are $50,000 worth of hospital machines, which only a PhD can operate. This isn't a science bottleneck. It's an infrastructure bottleneck. The missing piece isn't research. It's accessibility. We are stuck with tools that were meant to never leave the lab. 5 years ago, me and my co-founder had a bold question. What if control didn't mean muscles? We weren't always a company. We started off with a big benchtop system with a lot of wires. But I believed that the brain could speak if we built something that could hear it. And our first breakthrough came with our brain-controlled prosthetic arm. And 3 years later, we launched Wisdom, our first EEG headset. 16 channels, dry electrodes, fully wireless. But we didn't stop there. We kept on pushing. And today, we have Instinct. It's a 19-channel EEG system with onboard AI, real-time processing, and it's compact, it's fast, and it's private. No gel, no surgery, no cloud. Just brain data processed in milliseconds at your fingertips. And this isn't a product pitch. This essentially in front of you is the proof that real-time brain-computer interfaces are possible today. Solutions which are scalable, deployable, and modular. This is not 5 years from now. This is happening today. And now let's see a glimpse of what can happen using this. So now what you see is my live brain data. All you see are these just lines messing around, and they're wiggling more when I move. But between these lines are hidden patterns that correlate to my mental state. So we have attention, fatigue, fear, excitement, and cognitive load. And right now, I'm pretty hyped up, pretty excited. So everything is just exploding outwards, especially the fear factor, right? But now let's calm down for a while. Much better now. So essentially what's happening over here is we are basically taking information from the prefrontal cortex of your brain, which is responsible for how focused you are, how attentive you are, and what's your cognitive load, right? But this is just a measurement. What if use the brain data to control something? Now over here, I'm going to try to move this ball just using my thoughts. And this essentially is called the motor imagery paradigm, and it focuses on the somatosensory cortex of your brain. That part of your brain is responsible for every single motor intent that you do. Right? Now imagine playing a video game using your thoughts. Pretty cool, right? But hey, again, your brain is a big powerhouse. That's not all. So now I'm going to show a couple of images of a lot of cats, pretty cute cats, and one of them is my cat. Let's see if we can find them. And there he is. And you see that green spike? That's essentially called an event-related potential. And this whole paradigm is called an oddball test. And the funny thing is, my cat is also called Spike. And the applications for this oddball test, I let you guys figure out. You can use it to build a lot of things. One example of things you can build using this is a keyboard to speak out what you want to say. So right now, I'm going to focus on the words that I want to put up on the screen. We can fill up the blanks using AI. We have to show off ChatGPT. And that's what we are doing, building the human body API. And this paradigm is basically just another representation of the oddball test. So basically, your brain has these things called event-related potentials. Whenever your brain sees a stimulus, be it a recall event or be it something new, it spikes up. Right? So in case of spike, you see that spike, that's called a P300 spike. It's called a P300 spike because it's in the positive direction and it lasts for about 300 milliseconds. But there are many more event-related potentials. You have N100, you have N300, you have N250, so on and so forth. Every single of those ERPs determining something new about your brain's intent. All that you saw didn't start in a lab. It started in a dorm room at BITS Pilani with two engineers who couldn't leave machines alone. We built drones, we built gesture control systems, basically anything that we could hack together. And then came the prosthetic arm. Initially, the prosthetic arm was muscle controlled. And it worked, but it wasn't easy. You see, when I wanted to pick up an object using that prosthetic arm, I had to flex my biceps. Pick up a pen, flex my biceps. Pick up a glass of water, flex my biceps again. Every single action required conscious effort. And that's when it hit us, that control isn't the same as comfort. If every intention essentially begins from the brain, then why are we waiting for the signal to reach the muscles? Why aren't we going straight to the source itself? That question changed everything for us. What started as a quest to fix the body now became a challenge to how to create an interaction with a new world. We weren't solving for movement anymore. We were solving for a new kind of interface altogether. And once we saw that clearly, our mission changed. Because we wondered, if we could hear the brain speak, move, what else can we hear? And turns out, we could hear a lot of things. Your brain screaming that it's tired before a driver falls asleep. Your brain trying to speak when your mouth can't. The brain is amazing. And the best part is now we got the power to respond to all those screams that the brain has been making for so long. These things that you saw in front of you aren't just prototypes. They're live interfaces already being used to control a wheelchair using thought, train cognitive flexibility, measure cognitive fatigue, as well as empower people to communicate without speaking. And we are just getting started. There's a lot more to explore. And this is not 20 years away. This is right here, right now. It's just very unevenly distributed. And now here's the big question. How did we make all of this real? We didn't just make that headset. We essentially created the full stack from the ground up. Sensors, processors, algorithms, operating system, and developer tools. Basically everything you need to convert raw brain data into real-world signals. It's modular and it's flexible. Pick what you want, leave what you don't. Build your own stack, your own way. Think of it like Lego for biosignals. Just join them together and voila, you have a new application altogether. Now researchers, developers, and even students can just plug in, test fast, and go live with their BCIs within weeks rather than years. The brain has always been ready. And finally, the infrastructure is too. We don't need to crack open skulls to unlock minds. We just need to build bridges worth crossing. In the future, we don't need to put machines into our brains. Instead, we need to bring our brains closer to the machines, intact, uncut, and unlimited. This isn't science fiction anymore. This is how we evolve as humanity. Thank you.